lot of videos that I've seen on the topic of gun skill impart cookie-cutter advice with an overemphasis on subclasses, loadouts, and certain guns in particular, without really talking about the main issue at hand. It reminds me of the kind of life advice you get from a family relative at Christmas. It's often generic and not very useful to you because it doesn't take into account of your situation. Yesterday's a history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today's a gift. That's why I got everyone strippers for Christmas. Yeah, we don't invite Uncle Sebastian around anymore. Gun skill is a very tricky topic to approach, because even the top 1% of players in Destiny will say that there's always something they can improve. So where do you set the bar for gun skill? What level is good enough? Truth be told, there isn't one, but I'll try my best to help you out in this video and get the ball rolling as to how and where you can start to begin to improve your gun skill. But slight spoiler alert, there's no easy fix for this. Hi, I'm Ascendant Nomad, and welcome to another episode of Crucible Doctor. Let's get straight to it. The only way to improve your gun skill in PvP is to get kills in PvP. But if you're the kind of player that really struggles, that can't even get body shots reliably, where do you begin? For pure gun skill alone, PvE can help with joystick movement and just getting used to moving your thumbs around more, but the rest of the elements of getting a kill, which include positioning and reacting to the game around you, require practice, and more practice. Here are some tips to help practice getting these kills properly. Tip number 1. Play 6-man game modes, purely for the number of targets at any given time. The best way to improve is to kill, and there's no other game mode in Destiny that gives you more targets simultaneously in the Crucible than the 6-man game modes. Control, Clash, Supremacy, and Zone Control are all slightly different from each other, with some modes more rewarding on certain maps and to certain types of players than others. But what they all have in common is 12 people in the lobby and 6 potential targets for you at any given time. So go out there and develop your instincts. Tip number 2. If you're feeling confident and brave, experiment with Rumble. It's basically 1 versus 5, and you're in danger all the time. You'll quickly learn that you have to land your shots if you want to do well, and it will test other aspects of your game as well as your movement, positioning, and map awareness, as you don't really have any teammates to kind of gauge where the encounters may or may not be. This is the game mode that you'll probably find very difficult at first, but after a few games in a row, you'll get the hang of the rhythm. Rumble is a very, very different beast from the other game modes of Destiny. Tip number 3. Start with aiming for the body, then move up to hit the head. If you're not confident in your ability to begin with, it's probably best if you start with the larger part of the Guardian, aka the body, instead of the head. Yes, you'll do less damage than if you were hitting the head, but starting with reliably getting a body shot is a great way to think about improvement. In any given situation, landing a body shot shouldn't even be a question for you if you want to be a good player, but even the best players miss their headshots now and again, so work your confidence up by getting body shots reliably first. Tip number 4. Practice what's considered head level in private matches with a friend. Familiarizing yourself with where the general head level is in Destiny will help you land those shots even easier. My recommendation is to practice in a wide variety of spots all around the map, and take a mental note of where the head level is. This is especially useful in maps with tricky elevation, like Bannerfall. With time and plenty of games, you'll start to figure out where the hotspots are on a certain map. That is, where most people like to engage in battle. Find those hotspots and do some shooting practice into those areas to prepare yourself for the real thing. Tip number 5. Play with the flow of the game and stay near your teammates. You have a greater chance of getting a kill if you simply stay near your teammates. 2 guns are better than 1 against a singular or multiple opponent encounter. The goal is to get kills to improve your gun proficiency, and there's few better hacks than to stay close and support with another player. This is much more effective with a friend or a fire team. If you don't get the kill, aim to get an assist instead. Getting shots away and landing them is very important when trying to improve. Tip number 6. Stick to one loadout. Aside from being consistent in your practice, an absolute must for your improvement is to stay with the same gun. I know, bear with me here. The Crucible is a dynamic environment with very few constants, and this dynamicism, this ever-changing landscape, can be extremely intimidating and depressing to those looking to find consistency. Create a constant for yourself by sticking to the same guns. Not only will you become very familiar with your guns, you'll also find yourself worrying less about what you can and can't pull off with the weapons that you do have. You'll develop an important instinct to either go for it or to back off. Tip number 7, and just to build off the last point, Use a gun that's familiar to you. Right now, it's not as important what type of weapon you're using as much as it is how comfortable you are using it. The goal is, at the very least, to hit someone. So if that means using a scout rifle that nobody else uses, so be it. The idea is to develop your fundamentals, and fighting the gun is not something you want to do early on. Using the last word, for example, because it kills really fast, is not really a good idea when so many other aspects of your ability to land shots need to work first. If you're familiar with the Kvostov, use it. If you like the palindrome, use it. Your gun choice today will not hamper your ability to get kills tomorrow if you do not know the rest of the grammar of multiplayer combat, such as positioning, map awareness, and timing your engagements, just to name a few. And remember, when a YouTuber or streamer recommends a gun, those guys and gals have practiced for hours with that gun before they got to use it, and more than likely, what they did is they changed their game to suit the weapon. This is true of literally every gun in the game. Each gun has its own personality, its own characteristics, and if you attempt to play the same way with each gun, you're not going to have consistent results. With that being said, if I assume that by watching this video you have conceded that, you're not the best player in the world, you don't have much game to begin with, it's best for you to pick a gun that suits you rather than go the other way around. Number 8, building off the last point, I'd recommend that you use a stable gun and make your life easier. There are some fantastic guns out there to use, but they either have weird recoil patterns or they're just not that stable. If you have an auto rifle, for example, with a high rate of fire, you'll most likely be spraying bullets everywhere. Same goes with a high impact scout, which will buck like a mule every time you fire. Unless you're confident in your own ability to hit shots regularly, stick to a gun that's not that difficult to use. If you get a gun that you want to use with great stability perks, upgrade the gun to unlock those perks before you use it. And that just about does it. With anything skill-based, it takes a lot of hard work to get to the place that you want to be. Nobody is born a good player. Nobody is born with talent. Talent is hard work. Talent is consistency. Talent is putting in the effort to actively think about your game and improve your game. There is no magic trick. This is a process that takes weeks, even months, and hopefully, some of the tips that I outlined here today will help you get the ball rolling. There's no secret technique or anything like that your favorite streamers are using. They play a lot of Destiny. They play a lot, and you have to as well. Well, maybe not as much as they do because hygiene is important, but definitely you need to put in the practice, and you need to put in the time, and you need to be dedicated if you want to go anywhere with your gun skill. And that concludes this episode of Crucible Doctor. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. A big shout out to Ash Ravens, Corby, Burger Game, and Pope Owned for helping me out with the script on this video. This was a really tricky topic to handle, and I'm so glad I could have their input for this video. Next week's episode deals with maps and how to learn them all. If you want to stay ahead of the game with some updates on the show, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Once again, I'm Ascendant Nomad. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.